My name is Casey Slattery. Consent to being interviewed and recorded. So this past summer, I was an intern at Fox Sports. So I've dealt with big, like big corporate environments, big network environments. Relating to gender roles, I would say, there's as many women and men that I worked with constantly all summer. So I definitely have experience working with women consistently. So I would get up I had to be at Fox at 9. So I would go through, I'd be paired with a production assistant, whoever would be that day, it would be either male or female. And we'd go through and we would completely melt down and cut, so I worked on the Minnesota Twins. So I was cutting the games for the Minnesota Twins from the previous night. Make basically a compilation of all the clips, and then depending on what the producer wants me to do, I'll make highlight packages, roll-ins, teases, like hype-up packages for the game. I would get an entire list. Well, my most direct coworkers would be production assistants, PAs. I worked with PAs really closely all summer, but I also worked with on-air talent, the people hosting the pregame show, hosting the postgame show. Spent a lot of time with them. Obviously their job is to be on air to, present the show. A lot of color analysts, former MLB players too I was with. And then in terms of PAs, there's a really healthy mix of men and women. Even at Fox with the Twins, they have women producers, one of 2 places in the entire nation that has a female MLB game producer, which is pretty interesting. And then in terms of PAs, who I was with every day, the responsibilities didn't differ whatsoever between men and women. They had the exact same responsibilities, they carried them out the same way, and they were directed the same way by higher producers. I wouldn't say that there's been a specific issue. I do understand how when you're in an isolated situation with a woman in the workplace, I guess, there can be like a slight tension there because you're trying not to put forth any advances, and that kind of creates awkwardness when you're kind of you're having to think about what you're saying and think about essentially framing everything so it's completely platonic, and you have to think about that. So maybe there's a slight tension or awkwardness there, but no real issues whatsoever. Most of the higher up bosses at Fox Sports North are men. As I said, there's a female game producer, there's some female pregame and postgame producers, there's a lot of female PAs, but I don't know. There's a lot of females in high positions at other companies. Fox Sports happens to have their 3 main top bosses are males. The power dynamic, yeah, sure. So it basically goes intern, PA, pregame producer, game producer and director, and then people above producer are the bigger bosses. And then on-air talent is kind of in a different power dynamic because they're not trying, there's no upward mobility there because they're on-air hosts and they're in their positions. And then I don't know the exact titles of the boss. It's like operations manager or like production, like executive production manager or stuff like that. So that would be the power dynamic. I do. The producer, her name's Vanessa. She's extremely good at being a game producer. She's great at her job. Everyone is aware of that in the production truck. Everyone knows that she's not messing around. She's really good at producing Twins games, at producing baseball and basketball. So they follow her lead because they want, like she does, to put on the best broadcast possible. The only thing I would think of that I have seen a little bit of disrespect is we have one pregame producer who some of the older ex-baseball players tend to respond to less than some of the male pregame producers. They're from a different time. They're older guys. They're ex-baseball players. I don't know. That doesn't really say anything about your character. But I have seen, and she's told me that she thinks some of the older ex-baseball player type color analysts sometimes don't heed her words and directives as much as they do males.
Awesome. Thank you.